Star Trek, Insurrection ending explained. What happened to Picard's romance and the Fountain of Youth? Star Trek, Insurrection, the ninth film in the Star Trek franchise, and the third to feature the cast of The Next Generation, often gets a mixed reception from fans. Yet beneath its deceptively simple story of rebellion against a corrupt Starfleet admiral lies a deeper, more philosophical exploration of time, morality, and unexpectedly romance. The ending of Insurrection ties these themes together in a subtle yet poignant way, leaving audiences to ponder not just what happened to Captain Jean-Luc Picard's surprising love story, but also the implications of the Baku's mysterious Fountain of Youth. So what did happen at the end of Insurrection? Why didn't Picard stay with Anij, and what became of the Baku and their age-defying planet? Let's break down the final moments of the film and how they reflect both the character of Picard and the thematic heart of Star Trek itself. The Baku, the Sona, and the Fountain of Youth. At the heart of Insurrection lies the idyllic planet of the Baku, a peaceful, agrarian society who live in harmony with their environment. Unknown to most of the galaxy, their planet is rich with metaphasic radiation in the rings, which has miraculous regenerative properties. This natural phenomenon is, in effect, a fountain of youth, slowing or even reversing aging and promoting physical and mental vitality. However, the peace of this paradise is threatened when it's discovered that the Federation, under the manipulative influence of the Sona, an offshoot of the Baku who embrace technology and warfare, is planning to forcibly relocate the Baku so the metaphasic radiation can be harvested. The process would destroy the planet's unique environment, but the Sona don't care. They are desperate for the radiation's rejuvenating power, as their bodies are deteriorating from years of artificial medical treatments. Captain Picard, disturbed by the Federation's betrayal of its principles, defies orders and mounts an insurrection against Admiral Doherty and the Sona. Along the way, he becomes close to Anij, a serene and wise Baku woman who embodies the tranquility of her people and introduces Picard to the idea of living in the moment. The final battle and the Sona's downfall. In typical Star Trek fashion, the final act features a blend of action and ideology. Picard, along with Data, Worf, and a few others, exposes the Sona's deception and brings their plan crashing down. Doherty is killed by Sona leader Ruafo, who is ultimately stopped when Picard sabotages their collector ship, a device meant to siphon the metaphasic radiation. In a striking sequence, Ruafo is killed as the collector explodes, and the surviving Sona are revealed to be Baku themselves, who once rejected their ancestral ways. With the Sona threat neutralized and the Baku safe, the Federation quietly retreats from its morally dubious plan, and order is restored. But that isn't where the story ends. Insurrection concludes not with a bang, but with something more introspective, a conversation between Picard and Anij that leaves viewers wondering what their relationship could have been, and what it meant for Picard's future. Picard's romance with Anij, a love out of time. Unlike many other Star Trek captains, Picard is typically a solitary figure. Command and duty are his first loves. While there have been hints of romantic interests over the course of The Next Generation, notably Dr. Beverly Crusher and the short-lived Kamala in The Perfect Mate, Picard has always kept his emotions closely guarded. That's what makes his connection with Anij and Insurrection so remarkable. Their relationship unfolds quietly but deeply. Anij is not a typical love interest. She represents stillness, timelessness, and the richness of living in the present. In one of the film's most poetic scenes, Anij teaches Picard how to slow down time, not literally, but through a meditative connection with the moment. Picard's usual identity as a man burdened by duty begins to erode in her presence. There's a gentleness and vulnerability in him we rarely see. In many ways, Anij represents what Picard could have if he ever allowed himself to abandon Starfleet, to stop fighting battles, saving worlds, and carrying the weight of the galaxy on his shoulders. When the mission ends and the Sona are defeated, Anij offers Picard a tantalizing possibility, to stay with her on the Baku world. With the metaphasic radiation extending lifespans indefinitely, Picard could have a second life, a life of peace, love, and perhaps even eternal youth. But he doesn't take it. Why didn't Picard stay? The decision for Picard to leave is one of the most quietly heartbreaking moments in the entire film. When Anij asks him how long he'll stay, Picard replies, "A little while longer." But we and Anij know it's temporary. His place is not on this planet. His love, as always, is the Enterprise and its mission. Thematically, this choice underscores one of the recurring motifs of Star Trek, the tension between personal happiness and greater duty. Like Kirk before him and Janeway after him, Picard is defined by sacrifice. He can't stay in paradise because paradise means giving up who he is. There's also an unspoken reality. Even if the metaphasic radiation offers youth, Picard's responsibilities cannot wait. The galaxy is still in chaos. The Romulans, the Borg, the Dominion, all are looming threats. And Starfleet, as Insurrection revealed, is not immune to corruption. Picard recognizes that his leadership is needed now more than ever. In the end, his choice is not a rejection of Anij, but an acknowledgement of the impossibility of permanence. Their love was real, but it was fleeting, an interlude of peace in a lifetime of service. What happened to Anij after Insurrection? Although Star Trek, Insurrection never revisits Anij or the Baku in any subsequent series or films, fans have speculated for years about what became of her. Did she wait for Picard to return? Did she continue her life in the timeless peace of her village, always remembering the Starfleet captain who chose duty over love? Anij's final moments in the film are graceful. She doesn't try to stop Picard. She doesn't beg. She simply accepts. That quiet acceptance is what defines her. She understands time in a way few do, and she knows that sometimes the most beautiful things are those that don't last. Some fans like to imagine that Picard visited her between missions. Others speculate that Anij represents a part of Picard's soul, an ideal he carries with him rather than a person he returns to. The Fountain of Youth, a moral dilemma. The metaphasic radiation is never weaponized, monetized, or exploited by Starfleet after Insurrection, at least not on screen. It's a curious omission. After all, the potential for healing, reversing aging, and curing disease would be revolutionary. However, this silence is intentional. Insurrection poses a moral question. Just because you can use something, does it mean you should? The metaphasic radiation's effects can only be harvested through a process that would render the planet uninhabitable. In saving the Baku and destroying the Collector, Picard not only saves a people, he preserves a natural wonder from being corrupted by greed. Starfleet's retreat from the planet is an acknowledgement that some things must be left untouched. In that way, the Baku world remains a symbol, a place that exists not for exploitation, but for contemplation. A haven where time slows down, and one is reminded of what truly matters. The legacy of Insurrection. While Insurrection is often overshadowed by the more epic First Contact and the darker Nemesis, its quieter tone and character-driven focus make it an essential chapter in Picard's journey. The film is less about action and more about reflection. It's a philosophical tale asking what we owe to others and what we owe to ourselves. The ending, with Picard choosing duty over personal happiness, encapsulates what makes him one of Star Trek's most noble captains. He doesn't stay young forever. He doesn't get the girl. He